Okay.
Hi, niece and nephew.
Hi.
Okay, I'm in Washington, D.C. You are in Seattle, and who knows who else might be watching this from anywhere else in America. The first most important question I have is, while your mom and dad are okay with you being on YouTube, they would rather I not use your real names. So, instead of niece and nephew, what would you like me to call you?
Eli. Daisy.
Eli and Daisy it is. Okay, and I'm going to tell anyone who might be watching this on YouTube that we're going to be having a conversation for the next half hour or so, but parents watching at home should feel free to pause the conversation and have a conversation with their own kid, because hopefully any kid watching this is going to have questions based on the readings and the interviews and the segments that I asked you to listen to. So, Daisy and Eli, the first question is, did you do the homework?
Yes.
Okay, great. And I asked you to come prepared with a few questions based on the homework. So first, let me just ask generally, what did you think about it?
I thought that two of the articles connected, which was really cool. And that was like a thing that I was wondering if like it was cause and effect. And they were good articles. Yeah.
Which two did you think connected?
Washington Post and the Twitter exclamation mark.
And Eli, what did you think?
I thought they were good reads, and I thought they were very interesting. Yeah.
Had you ever run into the problem yourself of encountering things that sounded true, but you didn't know whether or not they were?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example?
On Wikipedia, I was wondering something, if it was true, and I think it was, but yeah. It didn't seem
And
right.
Daisy?
We were doing a Time for Kids for class, and there was an article about that, and it scared me for a second because there was a picture of Mount St. Helens, and it was completely underwater, but then I realized that it was fake.
Right. You know, every time there's a hurricane, it seems like somebody posts a photo of a shark swimming in a street, and they say that it's a street in whatever city the hurricane caused a flood, and it's the same photo of a shark posted year after year after year after year, and it can't be the same shark in the same street in cities as different as Miami and New Orleans, but people keep sharing that photo.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Eli, that you mentioned Wikipedia, because I think a lot of people assume that Wikipedia is all true and accurate, but you were not so certain that it was. How did you know
it
that?
It was that time.
No. That time it was right?
Yeah.
Did you know that if you wanted to, you could go on Wikipedia right now and make a change to a page, and you could say that I was born in London, England, and the Wikipedia page might say that I was born in London, England, when you both know I was not born in London, England.
Yep.
So then the question is, when you run into things that look like, wait, is Mount St. Helens underwater, or is this line in Wikipedia accurate? How do you figure out whether it is or not?
You find a lot of other sources, and you look it up.
Or
a couple times.
Or sometimes you can just tell it's not.
Sometimes you can just tell. Sometimes things just sound ridiculous.
Ice cream's made of dirt.
Right. You know what we call that in the news business? Looking it up and finding it and verifying it in other places? We have a term for that. We call it fact checking.
Well,
So I'm curious what questions you have about the things that you read and listened to in preparation for this conversation.
You want to go first?
Sure. Can we do the Washington Post article first?
Absolutely. I'm just going to note that we're going to just bleep out the real name that was used just there. It's okay. It's going to take some getting used to. Okay, go ahead, Daisy.
So my main question with this Washington Post article is this what led to the blue exclamation marks on Twitter?
That's a really good question. Now, I gave you just a few examples of stories, but the truth is, I probably could have chosen 20 or 30 or 50 stories that are similar examples. Now, maybe it's not the president tweeting a video of Nancy Pelosi, but maybe it's an example of some other false claim from someone else. And maybe it's not Twitter, but maybe it's Facebook, or maybe it's Instagram. But in the last few years, I think that a lot of social media platforms like Twitter have become really aware that they can't just ignore the problem of bad information on their website. And so they're trying to come up with some kind of a solution, and they're still trying to figure out what that solution is, which I think is part of what you heard in the conversation that I had with the guy from Twitter who was talking about the blue exclamation points. So my question for you is, what do you think of Twitter's solution to the problem? Do you think it is a solution? Do you think it's the right answer? Do you think it goes too far or not far enough?
I think it's in the middle of too far and not far enough. I think if a video is convincing, though it's kind of hard to judge if a video is convincing, and it's deceiving, then they should remove it, not just flag it, because people might just be like, oh, it's a thing, like as simple as, oh, the blue exclamation point means it's a popular post, and it has cool stuff on it if they don't click on the blue exclamation point. That probably wouldn't happen, but it's just ways that people can confuse it.
I agree, and that leads to one of my other questions was, why is it a blue exclamation mark? Why isn't it like a green smiley face?
But I want to ask something about Eli's point, which you agree with, Daisy, that instead of just flagging it, you think Twitter should remove it.
Yeah.
But then my question is, did you hear in the conversation I said, this is manipulated audio? I mean, the video that we're about to post here on YouTube is going to be manipulated. We're going to bleep the part where Eli said Daisy's real name. So that's manipulated video. Should Twitter take that down?
That is a good point. I don't think that's a big enough error that they'd have to take it down.
Like on cooking shows, should they not be allowed to post cooking shows if they bleep out the swear words?
Or what if on a cooking show they put a really ugly cake off camera and bring on a perfect cake that was the 10th cake they made because the first 9 were so bad, and they make it look like it's really easy to make a perfect cake, but actually they had to make 10 to make it look that perfect. Is that deceptive? Should anyone care?
I think they should tell you that this was not the first try, but they shouldn't kick off the video.
Oh, so there you're leaning towards flagging it and signaling it, maybe something like a blue exclamation point, but not necessarily removing it.
I think it's more important to remove it with politics, stuff that people have to believe in really well to keep the cycle going.
Why do you think politics is more important?
Because in acting, actors act. It's gonna be that way, but in politics, the decisions that we make affect how
we'll live our everyday lives.
Yeah, because it depends on who decides what, and depending on who that is, it depends on who, if they decide that. So,
for example,
give me an example.
If someone hates a politician and one of the politician's followers really wants them to get in posts, they got Person of the Year award. Is it going to change your mind if you don't verify it? Probably.
So here's another question I have for the two of you. Why should it be Twitter's job to verify it? Why shouldn't it be the job of everybody who is reading Twitter not to just assume that because they see something on the internet that it's true? Why shouldn't it be your and my responsibility to do the fact-checking work ourselves?
I actually have a question about that. How does Twitter check every single tweet?
I had that too.
How do you check any of the billions of tweets that are posted every day?
It's a really tough question. And, I'll tell you, this is a little bit of behind-the-scenes information. You remember how I said in the interview that it was manipulated audio, that we took out some questions and answers, we cut it down to be the right length. We had a 3.5, 4-minute segment, but I recorded a much longer conversation. And in the conversation, I actually asked that question because I had the same question you had. I said, who's reviewing this? Who's deciding it? And the answer he gave me was, it's people, many of whom have worked in journalism. And when someone flags something and says, this is inappropriate, this deserves a blue exclamation point, he told me that gets referred to a person who then looks at it. And ultimately, and this is the tricky part, that person makes a judgment call. So I know you're also taking math classes. And in math, 3 + 5 = 8. And that's the rule. And math is black and white. But in questions like this, it's a judgment call. And Daisy and Eli and I might all look at the same video and reach a different conclusion about whether it deserves to have a blue exclamation point or not, which makes this issue of fact-checking kind of complicated. Which returns me to my question, what's your responsibility and my responsibility as somebody who is getting information from the internet? Is it safe to say, well, that doesn't have a blue exclamation point, so therefore it must be true?
Well, people could just have believed it and not fact-checked it, so you shouldn't always believe whatever you hear. If 500 people on Twitter agree that ice cream is made of dirt, and you really think that's not true, don't believe it, look it up, find that ice cream's actually not made of dirt, and then tell them that they're actually wrong.
Okay, so here's a follow-up question to that. When you say look it up, what if you Google, is ice cream made of dirt? And the first hit is a website that says, yes, ice cream is made of dirt. How do you know if the website you're looking at is reliable?
If it is live.com, you're probably not going to go there. But look up for a reliable source. And
what makes a source reliable?
Well-known, well, sometimes. People know, from it's fact-checked. The people there fact-check it, and it wasn't made 200 years ago.
So what
Daisy,
if live.com was fact-checked by the people who work there, and they just kept it?
Can I give you one little trick? That's one way to distinguish between a reliable news source and something that might not be very reliable. So, you know, I work in the news business. And as you might be aware, I'm a human being, and human beings make mistakes. I know, shocking, right? So I make mistakes sometimes. And even though I try to make sure that everything that I put on the news is fact-checked and that I won't make a mistake on the news, I have in my career said things on the radio, on the news, that were actually wrong.
Like what?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you that. But I will tell you what we do when we get it wrong. We put a correction publicly in a place that everyone can see it. And we say, yesterday we told you that ice cream was made out of dirt. Ice cream is not made out of dirt, and that's how we correct the record. And so you can find on NPR's website and the New York Times website and the Washington Post website corrections pages, which is the way that responsible news organizations say, we got something wrong, and we are publicly telling you that we got it wrong, and here's what is right. And that's one easy way to tell whether the place that you're trying to fact check this is reliable and responsible, or maybe a little bit less so.
Yeah. I
What other
agree,
questions
except
do you
there
have?
is a way where you can have a corrections page, except everything on the corrections page is still the opposite of what's true. Ice cream is made of milk. Corrections page. Sorry, ice cream is not made of milk. It's made of mud, not
If someone
dirt
wanted
either.
to be really tricky, they could do that. I haven't seen
I
that
doubt
yet,
it, though.
but it could be out there.
Yeah,
So
I
what
doubt
other questions did you have about the background materials?
Which article?
How about the other Twitter one?
The Washington Post?
No, there was
Any of
another.
the articles that you want to discuss?
Oh, why don't we do the older adults?
Yeah. The class is for seniors, helping them learn how to fact check.
I mean, there wasn't a lot of questions here, but
Okay.
I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna be like kind of a confusing question, but it's not hard.
Okay.
I guess if you're a senior and you are extremely techie, would the class be good for you?
Let me turn that around and ask, if you are an 11-year-old, a 5th grader, and you are extremely techie, would a class on how to know what to believe online be helpful for you? Do you think most 5th graders know these kinds of things and do these kinds of things? Some?
Some. Like our class last year did a couple of things for checking stuff online, but not much.
Oh, you did?
So yeah,
Okay.
so we like know the basics, but I think a one in-depth one like this one would help a lot.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to make you a little more suspicious, maybe a little more skeptical, maybe think twice when you read things?
Yeah, probably.
You know, I saw something just today that was a very controversial statement that the president allegedly made. And I saw people in a very responsible way saying, did the president actually say this thing? And it was all over the internet that the president said this thing, and the president didn't say that thing. And a little bit of research showed that he didn't say it. So Daisy's asked a couple really good questions. Eli, do you have some questions about the background materials, the readings?
What was the thing that he said?
I don't remember exactly what it was. I would have to look it up. And also,
was it good or bad about him?
Tell you something that's a little bit tricky that people in the news business have to wrestle with sometimes. If a lot of people are out there saying ice cream is made out of mud, ice cream is made out of dirt, and we go on the news and we say, we are here to tell you ice cream is not made out of dirt. A lot of people are going to go home and say, oh, I heard on the news today that ice cream was made out of dirt. And so sometimes by repeating bad information, even if you're repeating it to say it's not true, you make that bad information stick. And so you have to be really tricky when you're talking about these things, even when you're talking about them in a way that is fact-checking. So Eli, do you have any questions about the stuff that you read and listened to?
Wait, can I see the paper again? Wait.
Sure.
I think I had one more thing, but I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
I think I had a question that I didn't write down. Okay. One sec.
While he's looking for that, another question I had is, why might it help older people in the upcoming election? Now, I know this is obvious, but still something to talk about.
Yeah. Well, why do you think it's helpful? I mean, what's the advantage of being able to determine what's true and what's not?
Knowing, like, how, based on their beliefs and what they see as it being true, the right choice for them. And if they see something that's not true, it might shift their choice. And one, they could get mad. Two, it could make a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, there's something that's kind of an advanced phrase, but I bet you'll be able to understand it. It's called confirmation bias. Do you know what confirmation bias is?
Yes.
You do? Okay, explain it to me.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
I think I might kind of
You're going
don't
off
remember.
screen,
Sorry,
Eli.
I kind of knew. My dad told me a couple times, but I forgot.
That's okay. Daisy, do you have a guess? It's okay if it's not right. Just
I
a
guess
guess.
confirmation bias would be you thinking one way, but I guess people on the news think one way, but they have an opinion.
Oh no, I remember.
You remember? Okay, what's that?
When so it's when a lot of things happen, but like let's say you were playing a game and you always die, and the couple times you play, you always died when the goblins were attacking you. But the next time you die from these orcs attacking you, and then a couple other times you died from goblins, you'll always remember. You'll be like, ugh, I always got killed by the goblins. You won't remember that the orcs also killed you or whatever.
That is a great Dungeons and Dragons example. That is a great Dungeons and Dragons example. All of us go through life with things that we believe. You know, maybe I believe that the color green is better than the color red. And whenever I have a good experience, I'm going to say, oh, I see something green. And that's because I'm having a good experience when green things are around.
Yes.
And if I have a good experience when red things are around, I'm not going to pay attention to it. Because I just think I have better experiences when green things are around, even if it's actually 50-50. So if I see a news article that says green is the better color than red, I'm going to say, I knew it, it's true, and I'm not going to go fact-checking it because it confirms my pre-existing beliefs. And all of us have things that we're inclined to believe. This politician is good. This politician is bad. This thing is helpful, this thing is harmful. And when we see news stories or claims on the internet that confirm the things we already believe, we'll say, aha, I told you so. And when we see things on the internet that challenge our beliefs, we'll ignore them or brush past them. So why do you think that might be relevant to this conversation about how do we know what to believe?
Well, I guess if you know what to believe, but then you don't go to know that it's true. What?
Eli, why do you think this might be relevant to the conversation about how we know what to believe?
Well, because confirmation bias kind of stops you from knowing what to believe. Because you think something, you are like, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. This only ever happens. And then sometimes you find something that confirms it, and it could be ice cream is made of dirt. And again, you go to that site and it says ice cream is made of dirt, and you just never fact check it on the hundreds of billions of other sites that say ice cream is made of obviously overbaked pie.
That's exactly right. You're less likely to go looking for the real answer if the answer you run into just confirms what you're already inclined to believe, whether or not what you're believing is accurate. You guys have asked such good questions. I'm so impressed with this conversation. Was there anything else that you wanted to ask about from the readings or from the general topic of how to know what to believe? Because this is something that I work with every single day in the news business.
Well, I guess one from the Washington Post would be, is it locked? Because we went to search it, my dad and I, and we couldn't find it. And we had to go on the article to go to the link, but they said it was still there. So,
you know, I haven't looked lately, so I don't know if the video is still up or not.
I have one question about the Washington Post too. Did people immediately realize that the video was not in the right order? Or was it like everybody was like, oh no, this is it? Because that would change my opinion on some things if people thought it was deceiving.
This ties into the conversation about confirmation bias, because I haven't done a poll or a survey, but my suspicion, if I had to guess, would be that some people said, no, this is manipulated, this isn't true. And other people said, of course that's what happened, this must be true. And what do you think those two groups of people might have been?
Probably people who disliked Trump and people who really liked Trump.
Daisy, is that what you were going to say too?
Yeah, red and blue.
That people who think Nancy Pelosi is a rude woman probably said, of course she ripped up that speech when he said that thing.
Red.
And people who think Nancy Pelosi is a great leader probably said she would never have done that.
Blue.
And maybe some smart ones went and did their research whether or not they thought she was a good or a bad person, or that Trump was a good or a bad person, to find out what the truth was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you're happy with that conversation, we could start to talk about what else you would like to discuss in future current events classes. Unless you have any other questions about how to know what to believe.
Not really.
I guess that's my end.
Yeah, I'm done.
Well, in that case, what else would you like to do in future lessons? What do you want to learn about?
Well, I think other people can tell us if we're clueless here, but I guess I'm not saying read the comments below. That's not.
Yeah.
Saying.
Okay. I'm gonna be YouTubery. I think you can comment below. I'm not actually sure, but if you have any ideas, try.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we've disabled the YouTube comments. But instead of YouTube comments, we're telling people to go to Twitter and use the hashtag Shapiro School and make suggestions of things that they would like to have conversations about, or hear us have conversations about.
Yeah, go there. So,
but the two of you get to just tell me. You don't have to post on Twitter. We're right here. What are you interested in learning about in current events?
I guess it would be like, how do you, I don't know, find a good question? And how do you know that the other person won't like be embarrassed or not want to answer, but you don't know? How can you like predict?
Like, how do you do an interview?
One.
Yeah.
I have another one.
What's that?
It's kind of two things.
Okay.
How do the I forget what it's called, the Democratic and Republican thingies that decide which candidate is running from each of the parties work, and the primaries, and what is going on with them right now? Who's winning in both sides? Okay. I think Trump's winning in the Republican side, but I have no idea who else is winning.
Good suggestion. And we're going to get lots of other suggestions, I hope, on Twitter. And as you know, every Monday I will post a video announcing what that week's topic is, and I will put links in that video that you can read and listen to and absorb. And then we'll meet here every Thursday, and we'll have another conversation that we can upload as part of the Shapiro School.
Yeah, and will it be posted on Thursday or Friday?
We're going to upload it on Thursday night, I hope. That's the goal. If everything goes according to plan.
Friday morning at the latest, probably.
Yeah, Friday morning at the latest. That's a good
Just in case there's a lot to edit and we say each other's names and all what.
It's been a fantastic class. I'm so impressed by your questions and the way you absorb the reading and the conversation. Great job. A+ from your new current events teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.